You unmute and then ask your question as we go on.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
And then you talk.
Please, in your submission, you made mention that in terms of imitation, it means we are imitating the ultimate, which is God.
And therefore, a mind. God is beyond the physical, and therefore a soul and a mind. Nobody has seen God. Continue.
Okay. So in that sense, does it mean that God is perfect?
We have not seen God, but once we have designated that name for him, he stands for perfection.
Okay, so in that sense, when we talk about the creation story, where God created Adam and Eve, he created them in his image, but these people were able to sin against God, and they were punished.
I'm coming. I got your point. Do you know your Bible very well? Of course, in philosophy, we don't want to bring that in. In philosophy, we don't want to bring the Christian creation story, the Islam, because these are dogmatic issues. This is what they believe. That doesn't mean that everybody believes in that. But if you take the Christian story of what you are saying, yes, that's what they said. Don't think that God is narrowed to Christianity only. For us, when we talk about God, we are talking about the unseen, perfect being. Not as Christians talked about him, not as Muslims talked about him, but as a perfect being. Now, if you decide to philosophize into the Christian story, they will tell you that Genesis chapter 1 to 10 are all stories and myths, not to be believed. That's what philosophers believe. But we Christians don't believe in that. But if you want to subject the creation story to critical philosophical discourses, we would even say that there are two accounts of the creation stories. Are you aware? If you read Genesis, you get two accounts. So that is also even questionable. Two, we are told that when Abel sacrificed, Cain destroyed Abel and moved away from, there were only 3 people in this world by the Christian story. But we are told that he moved away to go and stay another land and marry other people. So it means that there were other people in this world. So that is also questionable. Again, if you look critically at what you are saying, the Bible, the Christian Bible tells us that they were perfect until a bad angel dropped down and deceived them. So until the time of their deception, they were perfect. Do you still have questions?
It's okay, thank you.
Yes. So any other question before I go to realism, which is an opposition to idealism? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
at this point, how do you define idealism?
Hello?
Yeah, at this point, how do you define idealism? Can you hear me?
Your network is not good, but if I hear you, you are saying, how do we define idealism? Is okay?
Yes, sir.
So how would you, after my explanation, do you want me to define idealism for you? What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Grace. Grace.
I have taken all this time to explain idealism, and you are asking me how do you define it. But idealism could be defined as, there are some people making noise. Idealism could be defined as a school of philosophy that accentuates or stresses on the superiority of the mind over everything, and therefore everything becomes spiritual and abstract, before it is converted into physical being. I mean, this is how we can define idealism. So the mind, ideas, which are abstract and thoughts, which are in charge of all material things. So my mobile phone here is a photocopy of the original mobile phone. That is a state of the mind. It's okay. Grace, it's okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm okay.
Right. Now let's go to realism. Realism is also an important, so we will call idealism another name before I move on from idealism. Another name for idealism is rationalism. Take that, note that very well. Thinking to arrive at knowledge. Rationalism. So if you go to the books, they will either say idealism or rationalism. Now let's go to realism. The realists believe that even though the mind is superior, the mind is central, the mind is citadel and pivotal, it is important to know that it is not what is in the mind that is so important. Because something could be in the mind that will never come out. So thinking alone is useless if we do not get material things, physical things to use. So they believe that matter was there, object was there, even before the creation of the mind. And it is the duty of the mind to do the secondary work of thinking about how to use the matter to satisfy the aspirations, the expectations of man. Therefore, realism opposes idealism, whereas idealism stresses on the mind and ideas, which are abstract and thoughts. Realism stresses on matter and objects, not what is in the mind, that is too important, but what we can use, what we can see. And this right from the beginning is scientific philosophy, which we also call positivism or empiricism. So another name for this realism is positivism. Object exists for us to just observe and describe, nothing more, nothing less. You can use your mind to say that I think this mobile phone is blue. It is an object that is already existing. So our duty, those who believe in realism, is to describe the object which have been existing time ex nihilo in Latin, time that we cannot even trace. So object exists. So they believe in objects. So John Locke, the father of realism or empiricism, I've told you that another name for realism is empiricism, empirical knowledge. So whereas idealism is rational knowledge, realism is empirical, scientific, sensory knowledge. What we can use our eyes, our ears, our nose to observe is that which matters, not what is in the mind. So if I come to the Ghanaian local system, the idealists believe in planning. The idealists believe in vision. So if you have an idealist husband, he will tell you, Rose, today I am poor. In 10 years' time, I'll be rich. Idealism, idea. It's fine. Rose, in 2 years' time, I'll buy you a flashy Mercedes Benz. Idealism is a concept. It's an idea. It's a mental construct. It's a planning. It's a vision. It's anticipation. It's optimism. If you have a realist husband, he said that, Rose, this is the car, take it. I see the car, take it. So in Ghana, among the accounts that have become so distant, I would say that the idealists believe in the realists believe in Abiwaha. They want to see the physical thing, not what you are dreaming about. So the realists call the idealists dreamers. You can fathom, you can think about something and have a mental image of it, but it will never come to fruition. Therefore, thinking without translating the thinking into solid, material, palpable, empirical objects is useless. That's why John Locke, the father of empiricism or realism, said that nothing in the mind that was not previously in the senses. And here the word previously is very, very important. It means that if I don't see, the mind cannot work. If I don't touch, the mind cannot work. Assuming I plug an iron here, how can I think and think and think to know the level of heat if I don't touch it? When I touch it, then the mind will register that this is the level of heat. But if I don't touch it, I'll pass. Or if I don't smell the fume coming out, I'll pass. So he said that let what we see goes into the mind for the mind to think. The question that arises is that are they fighting? And if they are fighting, what is the bone of contention? The bone of contention here will be which comes first. The realist doesn't negate the fact that the idealists exist, but they believe that you think, you see before you think, and therefore thinking is secondary, and seeing, touching, having empirical experience is first.
Sir. Oh, sir.
Can talk.
Sir, in that case, can we say that this part is to be a subjective?
Which one is subjective? Yeah, I think you are making a point, but
yeah, realism.
No, realism is objective, and idealism is subjective. Because realism is objective because I see the thing, and it's the thing that I've seen. Therefore, it's the thing that I'm describing. I don't add anything. And when you go to idealism, you think about a thing and then decide that whether it is this or that. For example, if the car is blue, realistically, it is blue. That's what I see and I'm describing. I can say that I think the car is green. Are you following me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So objectivity belongs to the category that we call realism, and subjectivity belongs to the category that we call idealism. Because I think we all know that, but of course, that is not to say that subjectivity cannot come into realism. It can come, but we are talking about the quantum, how substantial and appreciable that is. For example, I can look at a young lady and I say that this young lady is fair colored. I think he's fair colored. In this case, I have given a designation for fair coloredness. I think this lady is very beautiful. In this case, I think that I have given a description for that which is beautiful. This lady is ugly. Then I've also given designation for ugliness. But when we come to realism, if the person is beautiful, there are basic criteria for saying that he is beautiful, realistically and scientifically, because that's what we see. But this one we say, I think. And this one will say, I see. Of the two, which one is? This is what I see is black. And then will say, oh, for me, it's blue. So objectivism, to be objective, is this. Listen to this. Honey is sweet. Sweetness is therefore a property that honey has. Whether anybody tastes it or not. Objective, realistic principle. Let's continue. Let me give an example. A boy walked. Yeah.
Please, for two couples, where the man is a realist, and the woman is an idealist, would they ever meet?
Would they ever?
Please.
Huh?
The idealist and the realist, would they ever meet? Would they meet?
Yes, they meet. They meet,
So
but
they
I'm coming. They meet, but they are paralyzed. If they would meet, it depends on them. If they will not meet, it depends on them. And let me ask you. Now, you people, you girls there, which one do you like today? The idealist husband. Akuya Warimio. Nadachi Meyi. And we so to the car, Chero. Akuya Mekani. Mifieni.
I'll go for the realist. The realism.
Honestly, I'll speak on this one.
You go for the realist. So you are I've been with generation, the realist generation. Now so one dream na nyede e chena mesi dan me beto ka o to kan one way I want to da ko sita dey we ase be say. So it depends on the arguments and the how realistic and how idealistic you want to be.
Okay, sir.
But in life, it's a combination of the two. Because any point in time, you have to be planning. And any point in time, you have to get something. So I normally say that it's not a question of taking one and hooking onto it and parading the treat and say, I'm this. It's using the two that will help. Because I'm telling you, if you are always a thinker, I'll go to London. I'll go to London. I'm thinking. And people will ridicule you. And if you are not thinking and thinking, you will not create anything. No answer the only number. Vision. So it's combination, and that is pragmatism. That's the third force. That's American philosophy that has reigned the world over the last 100 years. It's okay. It's okay.
Yes, sir. It is okay.
The combination of the two.
Are you a realist or you are idealist?
Yeah, I'm an idealist.
I'm both. I'm both
Okay.
idealist and realist.
Okay. Because you plan. A boy. Let me give you an illustration. A boy who was going in a village to farm with the mother. Please, those of you talking. Who was going to the farm with the mother? A widow. Told let's say a class 2 boy told the mother, don't worry at all. When I grow up, I'll buy you a car and I'll build a story I've been building for you. This is not bad. The child has an aim. So the child is being an idealist. It's possible that it will never come to being. It's possible that it will never happen that the boy will build. But he has got aim. That's why the idealists say aim high. That's why the idealists say plan. That's why the idealists say have vision. So if you don't have vision, you cannot. But you cannot say that throughout your life you are vision. You will die. You will not create anything. You hear Biane, you hear Banku. So that is the point that I want to understand. Oh, one there. It belongs to you. So it is the physical characteristics, the realist of the universe that the realists are interested in observing, but not metaphysical, supernatural. What one word would you add to this? Yes, anybody at all? Have you moved them? Unmute yourself and answer the question. It is the hello.
Hello.
Look at the last point. It is the physical characteristics of the universe that the realists are interested in observing, but not the metaphysical, supernatural. What one word would you use? Idealistic. That may not be realized at all. So the word realism comes from realization in physical, material, tangible, concrete, palpable evidence.
Idealistic.
Right. Now let's continue. Now, the idealist, the realist also believe. Oh, I'm telling you. Huh. Oh, why is it this way? The realist stresses that it is the universe that we see, but the idealist would also stress that it is the universe that we think in mind and experience. It is this thing that we imagine, and the universe that we see is orderly and not chaotic. For example, what we know is that the night follows the days as regularly as the rainy season follows the dry season. Everything is not an appointed time. It's realistic. If you tell me that today the sun will be setting in the east or the north, it's not true. It's your thinking. It's a figment of your imagination. It's a speculation that is unfounded. It is a confusion. The universe is orderly, and therefore we can study its physical structures. Science. So realism is science. The world is real, and it is what the sciences tell us. The fact that objects are discovered by the sciences prove that they have always existed and will continue to exist if no scientist ever discovers them. So it means that objects have been there since time immemorial, whether we have discovered them or we have thought about them or not. Objects are there. When we see it, then the mind can start working. So that is the thing. Let's go to the next slide and see. Now, the next slide is about the fact that the universe is what the scientists tell us. The universe is orderly. It stresses on the universe that we see. So underline the word see and experience. The simple dictum or saying that what we see, seeing is believing, is very, very important in realism. The idealists will say thinking is believing. Therefore, this is empirical knowledge that is derived from our senses. What I see, what I touch, is the true knowledge. And it is true if it corresponds to the real world or what we later find to be the case. Therefore, as scientists, the realists believe in natural laws and believe that mind can know natural laws, the laws that are there. If I throw a stone up, it will come down. This is what we see. This is what we experience. It's not what I think that when I throw it, it will be remaining in the air. It will never happen. In the realms of ethics, this natural law is usually referred to as moral laws. Now, realism and education. For the realist, the primary aim of education is to teach the student or the child the natural and moral laws so that his generation may lead the right kind of life. Again, education is also seen as a process of developing the capacity of man to enable him to know the truth. That's why somebody asked, as it is, objective scientific truth. So you know the truth as it is, not that you think that it is like this. Now, again, they really see the student as a functional organism. When you say your watch is functioning, it's working. So the student is always working. The student is not lazy. The student uses the 5 senses. So he goes to the field, he goes on industrial attachment, he goes to do experiment, he's always engaged in practicals. These are their methodologies. The teacher is simply a guide who plays a crucial role. He introduces the students to the natural laws so that the children will follow and be disciplined. Now, let's just look at their curriculum, the subjects that they learn. Their subjects are physical subjects. So we have social sciences, social studies, because you study artifacts, you study festivals, you study things that are phenomena. They believe in physics, chemistry, and biology. Very, very important. But these people believe in history. Why? That the realists believe in history. Why? Any important answer? But we say that the idealists are mainly historians, but the realists also believe in history. In what sense? Yes. In history, yes. Yes. The realists also believe in history. Yes. Yes.
I think it's evidence of things that have happened already.
The evidence, I like that. For example, like what? That they have seen the evidence of things, and give me examples of the evidence.
The golden stool of the Ashanti.
Golden stool of the Ashanti, you see it.
Of the
Yes.
Ashanti.
The linguist staff. Yes. The kente cloth that was moving.
The impact of the World War.
Huh? We call the artifacts, the symbols, because they want to see. Now their methodology are like that. The methods involve teaching for the mastery of facts in order to develop an understanding of natural laws. It involves learning through senses, 5 senses. Our 5 senses and experience. So the realists are interested in seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, hearing. And that's what we call feelings. And we also call them the avenues of the soul. So if that is their methodology, then they go on field trips to see for themselves, to touch. So I will sit here as an idealist teacher teaching Cape Coast Castle. The student will be imagining the castle. The realist philosopher will take the students to Cape Coast to touch and see the castle, field trips, films, give them films, televisions, and when they see, they never forget. Computers, audiovisual aids, lecture and demonstration method. It is teacher-centered because the teacher, to some extent, is teacher-centered as well as student-centered. The teacher plays a role by telling them how to do a demonstration, practicals. The teacher is there, and later on he leaves them to see whether they have mastered over the specific skills that are inherent in the demonstration. Realism has also been criticized. Sometimes they are so positive about the fact that they don't consider errors. So it's very important. Brantan Wako. Okay, what can you? Okay. So there can be, they don't consider that there can be errors. And then cause and effect relationship. Is it the realists believe in cause and effect, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. The fact that the sun rises in the east every day is no guarantee that it will rise there tomorrow, although the probability is high. So there is a cause and effect. You see, the realists believe that once you add DDT to water, you drink, you die. Some people may drink it and will not die. So it is not all that objective like that, as somebody was trying to talk about. Later on, you read the criticisms of Idealism. Now, any question before we go to pragmatism? Is it okay?
Just say it's okay. We can move on, sir.
Okay. But give me 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I am back to pragmatism, and everybody must hear the lecture on pragmatism, because pragmatism is